Are you ready to redefine what it means to thrive at any age? Welcome to Age is Just a Number with BJ and Ruth. In your 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, you deserve to live your best life. Say goodbye to preconceived notions and let's shatter those stereotypes together. Get ready to own your vitality because age, well, that's just a number.
Hey everybody, it's BJ.
And Ruth.
And we're back talking all things health, fitness, lifestyle related. And, Ruth, you said, you told me that earlier this week, you got to do a road trip.
I did.
And as a result,
it affected my sleep.
You were kind of like an all-night, was it an all-nighter kind of thing?
It was a 9-hour, 10-hour road trip.
Okay.
It's the things that we do for our kids. And my youngest is 27. So it was hey mom, can you pop me over to Kelowna? And living in Victoria, that's like 6 hours each way, 4 hours, but then you got to factor in a ferry. So, that was an adventure, and it affected, I lost one night of 8 hours sleep, and I've been catching up on it ever since.
Okay. So today we want to actually talk about sleep
and how it affects you.
Yeah, and the importance of it and all of these things, and
not getting enough of it.
So it's interesting when I said to Ruth, hey, let's talk about sleep. She said, oh, have I got a story for you? Because so let's start with understanding this. I think a lot of people, they don't give the value that they need when we talk about health and fitness and wellness to sleep.
Right.
And especially in North America, we live in such a connected culture.
And we keep ourselves so busy that we forget the value of sleep. Sleep is it's the body's chance to reset itself and re-energize itself.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of studies and information out there that talks about the importance of sleep. Mm-hmm. Number of hours, the quality of your sleep. Like, it's good on the mind and the body as well. Yeah,
100%. And I have some of those things that specifically from results and things, it's test results that we'll talk about. But, you could really say it this way, is sleep is like everybody's superpower.
Yeah.
Everybody, you all have a superpower. Whether you use it or not is a different question entirely. And I know the times where I've gotten less sleep, and it's not, sometimes it's just one night and I'll be like, okay, I need to take a couple of nights to catch up. But otherwise it can be, you get so busy with life that you go less sleep. And then all of a sudden you just hit the wall.
You really do.
Right.
And you can't function that way. You can't function effectively that way.
Yeah. And so, statistically what they're saying is you want to look at somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 8 hours of sleep.
Yep.
And it was interesting. I was having a conversation with my daughter and I said, except for you, because as a teenager, you need considerably more sleep.
More sleep.
But
as we age, we can go on less sleep.
Sure. But is it the best thing to do? Probably not.
Yeah.
But I think we also want to preface what we're going to talk about with, if you have some kind of sleep issue, whether it's sleep apnea or any kind of insomnia, things like that, that's not what we're here to talk about. If those are issues that you deal with, you need to see a professional. Go see your doctor. Go get some help.
I think what we're here to talk about is the importance of sleep in the realm of health and fitness. And wellness.
Yeah, and just talking about. We're going to talk a little bit about, I don't think we'll get into all the nuts and bolts of it, but we'll talk a little bit about sleep hygiene and about sleep time and timing and things like that. But let me just go over a few things here that recent studies and ongoing studies, they're not just one-time events, but studies found that sleep affects, or we could say lack of sleep affects, but sleep affects your blood sugar.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So that's important. This one's a big one if you want to talk about, especially adding muscle and keeping muscle as you age, is lack of sleep results in muscle loss. Because your body, if you shortchange it enough on sleep, will become catabolic. And what that means is it'll start to burn muscle, not fat. It'll start to burn muscle.
Right.
You can't look at my notes.
Well, I know he's got notes, and I'm not looking at his. I'm trying not to look at his notes.
You can't look at my notes.
But one of the things I wanted to talk about is lack of sleep can increase stress, which increases the hormone cortisol, which is not your best friend in the case of health and wellness.
Yeah, and I think that's
it's not in his notes.
It is in here.
Oh God, I didn't see that.
But see, that's what happens when you try to read over somebody's shoulders.
I'm not.
We used to, in school.
He writes really big though.
In school, we used to call that copying.
Oh well, hey, I can't do that anymore because at my age I need my reading glasses. So there you go.
There you go. Okay, so actually, to talk about what Ruth was just talking about, it's not that lack of sleep creates stress. It affects your ability to deal with stress. And so what it specifically is lack of sleep hyper accelerates your mood and emotions. And by extension, then you're going to not handle things well, comparatively speaking. What else? Lack of sleep affects your cardiovascular system and increases your risk of heart attacks. Mm-hmm. There's actually, the statistics were amazing to me, or sobering, however you want to think of it, about the rise in heart attacks when we lose an hour of sleep as a result of the time change.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And the rise in heart attacks at that point.
Okay.
So
that makes sense to me.
Okay, let's continue on. Lack of sleep also will affect or have an effect with metabolic syndrome. Yes. Right?
That I know.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and metabolic syndrome just means you won't be able to get ahead of your weight. No,
because it'll slow down.
Right.
It'll slow down. And so you actually want to be burning more effectively.
Right. Okay. Lack of sleep will also depress your immune system.
That I know too.
Right?
Yes.
And I actually, in doing some of the research for this, was watching one study where they noted after one episode of sleep deprivation that there was a 70% reduction in T cells. And that's what goes around killing the bad guys in your system.
Right.
Right. So, okay, what else? Lack of sleep also will result or may result in lower testosterone in men and lower estrogen in women. So, and if you're trying
hormones matter at this point in our lives. So,
and if you want to add muscle, you're going to need to make sure that the testosterone
is high.
Is cooking
higher. Yeah.
Right. So, so that's a lot of the kind of what can happen if we don't take care of it and so forth. And like Ruth, you mentioned just how worn out you feel after your road trip, right?
I did this on Sunday, and after I worked an open house and so then picked him up and grabbed a ferry and found myself back in Victoria, Tuesday morning or Monday morning. And so it was arrive in Kelowna at midnight, back on the road at 12:30,
sure.
Back on a ferry at 7 a.m. And I've been paying for it all week.
Well, because what it is our body banks sleep.
Yeah.
So just like you can have a bank account that you can overdraw, you can have a sleep account that you can overdraw. And what happens a lot of times for us too is we especially as I said in the culture in North America, we are so connected to our phones and technology that we don't turn off, right?
Yes.
So you don't start to refill that sleep account. So let's say I went to sleep and I got 6 hours of sleep. But it wasn't good sleep because I was right connected to the phone right up until the moment I laid my head down.
Right.
And maybe I was drinking coffee right up to, or all these other things. So there's there's a process. It's called sleep hygiene. It's just having a good process for when you go to sleep, making sure you've taken some time to disconnect from technology, making sure.
So you don't have the TV in your bedroom when you fall asleep watching a movie, and
Yeah, no.
no,
No.
I don't either.
No. I was always of the opinion that the bedroom is for two things. So you can figure out where the TV is not one of those two things.
Exactly. And you know what? If you find you can't sleep, I guess I'm old school. Grab a book, read. I'll fall asleep in no time. I won't even make it through the first chapter.
Sure. One of the things that I found too in the research that they said, if you wake up and you can't get back to sleep, is just get up and go for a walk, like a short walk even, but just get up and do something else and then come back.
Right.
So, okay. So, and we're running out of time because we've already, kind of hit the 10-minute mark, I think, and we're trying to keep it around there. So let me just go real quick on a couple of things and then we'll wrap it and maybe we'll do another episode. But just some things you can do to have a better sleep. Number one, have a consistent time that you go to bed and wake up in the morning, even on the weekends, right? Maybe you adjust it a little bit, but have a consistent time that you go to bed and wake up in the mornings. You'll always sleep better in a cooler room. So if you can have your room, and I get it, some people that's not their thing, but if you can have the room around 18 degrees Celsius, that's around 65 degrees Fahrenheit, that's an ideal temperature. You want to have a dark room. So that's also a reason to have technology not in the room, because you don't have the blue lights and everything else. And maybe you want to consider what are the blinds when they're the
room darkening blinds,
whatever they're called. There's special blinds. I'm sorry, the name escapes me at this moment. You also want to monitor your alcohol and caffeine intake. So some people, they've had 2 coffees, they're done for the day. No more coffee if they're going to have a good night's sleep, because it affects them. So, and the other thing is to have some kind of sleep routine. So ideally like 30 minutes out from the time that you want to be sleeping, that you've got a process. I have a process that I try to stick to, that before I go to bed, there's a kind of that 30-minute window. I do some journaling. I try to turn off all my phone for sure. It gets plugged in, turned off. Maybe I'm just playing some music, and maybe I read a little bit, do some journaling, and then, take care of the, washing my face, brushing my teeth, all those things, so that there's a process that I go through that helps my body slow down, wind down. Yeah. And then into bed I go.
I do that too. Because it's just falling asleep in front of the TV is not the way that I find is not helpful.
Right.
So I don't do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And and I'm very fortunate and blessed that if I lay down, I will go to sleep. Doesn't matter when, doesn't matter where. Yeah. I fell asleep once in the dentist chair when they were cleaning my teeth. Suddenly somebody's tapping my, sorry. But that's not everybody. So the point is,
sleep is important.
Sleep is important,
and value it. And so learn to figure out what works best for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so just some practical things that you can apply that will help you. And this will help your time in the gym. This will help your muscle building. This will help your muscle maintaining, your body, your mind, all of that together. So take a minute and maybe think about it. What do I do in my sleep? Getting ready for my sleep. And if you haven't, make a plan.
Yeah, and a lot of people have the phones, the Apple Watches and stuff that will actually track how many hours you were sleeping and the quality of that sleep. And I don't have one, but it's just knowing that I get myself into a pattern, like you do, and I stick to it. And I do understand the value of sleep. And when I say yes to something crazy because one of my sons asks, and then I realize that I'm not in my 20s anymore, and I do realize that. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you spending some time with us, and we are building a community here. So if you haven't, please take a minute and subscribe to the channel. and watch for our episodes. We're putting one out every week right now, and we are aiming to have as our first goal 100 subscribers. So if you haven't, please take a minute and subscribe. If there's other people you think that are going to appreciate and value what we're doing or want to be part of the community that we're building, ask them to subscribe also. And we're going to have different guests on and different information going forward that's going to help us in every area. So yeah, see ya.
Bye.